Etavadeva jigyasam.
Etavadeva jigyasam.
Tattva jigyasunatmanah.
Tattva jigyasunatmanah.
Anvaya vyatirekabhyam.
Anvaya vyatirekabhyam.
Yasyat sarvatra sarvada.
Yasyat sarvatra sarvada. Etavadeva jigyasam. Etavadeva jigyasam. Tattva jigyasunatmanah. Tattva jigyasunatmanah. Anvaya vyatirekabhyam. Anvaya vyatirekabhyam. Yasyat sarvatra sarvada. Yasyat sarvatra sarvada.
Etavadeva jigyasam. Etavadeva jigyasam. Tattva jigyasunatmanah. Tattva jigyasunatmanah. Anvaya vyatirekabhyam. Anvaya vyatirekabhyam. Yasyat sarvatra sarvada. Yasyat sarvatra sarvada. Word for word trans. You should. Etavat.
Etavat.
Up to this.
Up to this.
Eva.
Eva.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Jigyasyam.
Jigyasyam.
Is to be inquired.
Is to be inquired.
Tattva.
Tattva.
The absolute truth.
The absolute truth.
Jigyasana.
Jigyasana.
By the student.
By the student.
Atmana.
Atmana.
Of the self.
Of the self.
Anvaya.
Anvaya.
Directly.
Directly.
Vyatirekabhyam.
Yatirekabhyam.
Indirectly.
Indirectly.
Yat.
Yat.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Syat.
Syat.
It may be.
It may be.
Sarvatra.
Sarvatra.
In all space and time.
In all space and time.
Sarvada.
Sarvada.
In all circumstances.
In all circumstances.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is like one of Prabhupada's longest purports should be. Read the whole thing or break it up and do it over a couple of days, because I think we'll spend like the whole class reading.
I think Prabhupada was considered an important verse. Wow, should go.
It's like 10 pages. Maybe if it's so important, we could do it in 2 days.
I spend a couple of days on it.
Okay, Jai. A person who is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, most certainly searched for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. Maharaj, if you'd like to make any comments along the way, you can please just stop me when I'm reading. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. To unfold the mystery of Bhakti Yoga as it is explained in the previous verse is the ultimate stage of all inquiries, or the highest objective for the inquisitive. Everyone is searching after self-realization in different ways, by karma yoga, by jnana yoga, by dhyana yoga, by raja yoga, by bhakti yoga, etc. To engage in self-realization is the responsibility of every living entity developed in consciousness. One who is developed in consciousness certainly makes inquiries into the mystery of the self, of the cosmic situation, and of the problems of life in all spheres and fields, social, political, economic, cultural, religious, moral, etc., and in their different branches. But here, the goal of all such inquiries is explained.
Yeah. I have a comment. So this covers all the fields of inquiry by the humans. The animals don't really inquire on this level. They're simply inquiring about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's all. But human form of life is the beginning where one is supposed to tattva brahma jigyasa, inquire into the absolute truth. And that applies to everything. One should inquire into the absolute truth in regards to social systems, religious systems, even breathing. Even breathing exercises can be used, this type of gymnastics can be used as a means for realizing the highest truth. Or political. Just like, why was it so important, the Battle of Kurukshetra? It was so important because Krishna was arranging a political change. He wanted a political system to bring about the developed consciousness of the human being. And without following the system of the four orders and four divisions of life, it's very difficult to bring about self-realization in the nation. Therefore, Krishna thought it so important that he personally drove the chariot of one of the members of that battle so that he would be able to win. He'd be able to be victorious. Because that political victory was not just political, it was included spiritual and economic. Now, we have our economics, we say we have our stock exchange, we have our monetary rates, we have interest, banking, we have all this economic planning, but that is atheistic. Those type of systems where money is the only goal. It's like they say, money is God. My grandfather taught me that. So, it's not that money is God, but the foolish people, the unintelligent, uneducated, they think like that. So that has to be changed. It has to be shown how money it can be used in Krishna's service. The best system is barter. If you have some milk, excess milk, then you can either turn it into ghee and then sell it at a future date, stock it and then sell it later. Or you can sell fresh milk. If you have something extra or excess, you can trade it. But that's a good system because there's no possibility of any cheating there. Because you see what you're getting, you taste it, And if it doesn't taste good, then you make some arrangement. Not that one stocks a huge amount of wealth only as like a miserly keeping to himself, doesn't let anyone else have any. They don't care if other people starve. They want to have their supply. So that has to be changed. The cultural, all the entertainment, all the education has to be changed. Because it has to be centered around Krishna, or God, or self-realization. That's why yoga, you notice yoga is used here. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Dhyana yoga, Raja yoga, Bhakti yoga. Why yoga? Yoga means link with the Supreme. That means self-realization. Without that, it's not self-realization, it's just karma. Karma means fruit of worker. He's not interested in self-realization. But karma yogi, he's interested at some point in self-realization also. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma means he does religion, some aspect of religion, just like in different religions, they have different types of dharma. Some fast, some say prayers, some bow down, some give money. They all have the different processes of performing dharma. But the goal is to reach God. But unfortunately, in the course of time, the whole idea or the whole aim of what religion was meant for got lost. And they forgot that it was meant to reach God and love God. So reaching God and loving God are completely ignored in religion today, practically. Where's the love of God? People would ask, what do you think of this religion or that religion? He would say, every religion is good as long as it helps the practitioner develop his love for God. Then it's good. And if it doesn't do that, then it's useless. So he'd have them judge themselves. So he'd say, how are you doing? You have your religion. Yes. Okay. How are you doing? How's your love of God coming? Or is love of dog improving? And they'd be quiet. They didn't know anything about love of God. Love of dog, they know. They're good on that one. But love of God, not much. Not much information. Not much interest. So, that's why Prabhupada is making such a grand presentation here of how the whole society, the whole thing has to be reorganized, has to be rebuilt. It's like when your engine is shot, everything's broken, it has to be rebuilt. That's what has to be done in our present society, because it's lost its soul. There's no soul left. No one understands the soul. No one knows what the purpose of the soul is. No one can tell the difference between the soul and matter. Even the doctors, they should know. Doctors should know what the life force is. They don't know. Nobody knows. So the whole thing has to be revamped. And It's the duty of the Vaishnavas to do it. They have to organize this revamping of society. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God Himself coming to, shall we say, inaugurate this revamping. And He simplified it because in this age of Kali, it is said, well, there's 4 ages, and the Krute Yad Jayato Vishnu. In the first age, the process is Jayanam, meditation. For self-realization, that's the primary method. People live 100,000 years. In such a long time, they can practice meditation for a long time, and they can perfect it. It's a long system. Then, Kriteya Jayato Vishnu. Yajak Makai. The next system is Tretayam Yajato Makai. The Treta Yuga is the method for self-realization in Treta Yuga is sacrifices. Performing sacrifices, big, costly Ashwamedha yagyas, Rajasuya sacrifices. It's like Indra. Indra became famous. He performed 100 horse sacrifices. And no one else had done that. When someone got close, Prithu, I think, when Prithu Maharaj was about to perform his 100th, he had performed 99. Now he's going to match Indra. Indra said, "He's not going to match me." He stole the horse. Then they got the horse back, and Indra disguised himself as a sannyasi. He stole the horse again. Indra has mystic powers. He can make himself appear, disappear. He can do all this. So he would not allow that horse to be used in that horse sacrifice. He was so attached to having the exclusive reputation. He's the only one who's done 100 sacrifices. So that was for corresponding to Treta Yuga, where they want to perform these great sacrifices. And then Vishnu comes. Vishnu comes right down into the sacrificial arena. He's so pleased by how nicely the Brahmins are chanting all the mantras perfectly. The grains are put, the ghee is put, like the trunk of an elephant. That's how much ghee they use, pouring into the fire, coming from an elephant's trunk. Sometimes they use so much ghee that the fire sacrifice, that's the fire god. Fire god is the mouth of the Lord. So that ghee is supposed to go into the fire and the grains. And then the fire god, he takes it to Vishnu. But he gets so much ghee. The elephant's trunk, that you have a big stream of ghee coming into the fire. Poor Agni, he gets indigestion. I can't handle it. He has to stop. He has to stop the sacrifice. Agni can't handle it. That's how much ghee. And nowadays there's not so much ghee. You can't go. So that was Treta Yuga. Then Vapare Paricharyayam. That means serving the Lord in deity worship. So the deity worship is recommended in the Dwapara Yuga. We see there's many temples were built then. Some of the temples, for example, South India, you go, you see they're built of big stones. That was because they were meant to last, not just a few hundred years or a few thousand years, but they were meant to last. And people were inclined toward that type of worship. But in Kali Yuga, who wants to go to church? Who wants to go to the temple? Not very attractive. I think I'm not taking my weekends off to sit down and pray and go into a building and no. I go ice skiing and water skiing and we're gonna have a good time. So what are they gonna do? It doesn't work. No one will go to the temples. They won't keep up the worship. They'll sell it, make it into a nightclub, or make it a condominium churches. That's their idea. So what are you going to do with these people? Then Kali, Hari Kirtanam. In the ancient Kali, there's only one way, chanting. Let them chant on the way to the beach. Let them chant while they're ice skating. Let them chant while they're... Somehow or other, let them chant. Just like we were talking before, they hold these stadiums now. They have big concerts in the stadiums, football stadiums. So better you make the big concert, the stadiums, use it for kirtan. They're having concerts, they just don't know what to sing. They have the wrong songs. So have your concerts, use your stadiums, but Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the way to turn around the age of Kali. Kirtan in the stadiums, kirtans in the schools, kirtans at home, kirtan everywhere. Krishna John Swami used to say, kirtan up, kirtan down, kirtan all around the town. So, kirtan everywhere, all the time. The safest place to be is Kirtan Ras. So everyone should be in this mellow taste of Kirtan, chanting all the time. Kirtaniya Sarahari. That's the process for Kali Yuga. And you can see the others won't work because we don't have facility to do them. Otherwise you make a kind of a caricature, imitation of yoga by sitting. We do imitation postures. But the purpose of it, no one knows. They think the purpose is to increase sense gratification. Of course. That's what we do everything for, sense gratification. Especially in Kali Yuga. So, this overhaul, complete, is the Krishna conscious movement. This is the overhaul of society. And it's quite a big task to take upon. But therefore Lord Chaitanya required God himself to inaugurate it. It was so great a task. Who could do it? Who could start such a wave, a big tsunami, tidal wave of ecstasy that would carry through the age and would bring everyone back to love of Godhead, bring him to the Lord. how could that be done? So the Lord himself came, took the position of a devotee, and personally went out chanting in the streets and brought it to the people and didn't ask anything from them, just chant. And by chant, in fact, even he didn't discuss philosophy very much. Sometimes he did with very learned scholars, such as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But mostly he just chanted and taught everyone to chant, because it's like Prabhupada wrote me one letter. He said, "We've just come from Amsterdam, and the people there are so degraded they can't understand any philosophy. So just chant and give them prasadam, and then after some time, then they'll be able to understand some philosophy. They'll become purified. So let's purify them by chanting." Thank you.
Can we get a microphone? Yeah.
I've heard that in this cycle of yugas that we're currently in, that the Treta and Dwapara yugas have switched places. If you look at the etymology of like dwa or duo, it's like two, and tre means three. So I was just wondering, does that affect the processes for the ages? Do they also get switched, or just how does that affect these different processes?
What's the question?
He says Treta and Dwapara Yuga are switched in this current kalpa. So are the recommended process for self-realization also switched? How does it affect that?
That's a Vedic statement. So that's in the Treta, there's sacrifice. But we can understand that previously it could have been different. In other words, it could be Dwapara. But anyway, that's our particular one.
So, why don't people find religion interesting anymore?
Maharaj spoke on this pretty clearly. We take to Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. We're doing these different religious processes and we get some kind of material gain. And then over time we forget. You understand? You take to worshipping the Lord. There's benefits that come in return. Life is good. Because life is good, over time you naturally forget the worship of God and you're enamored by material pleasures. So, Maharaj was talking about how this Kali Yuga, the recommended process is chanting the Lord's holy names, and this was ushered in by the Lord himself, as Lord Chaitanya. There's a verse in the CC, it's Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 24. Although the members of the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity, for this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. So the Panchatattva broke open this storehouse of love of God, and they're freely distributing it through the Sankirtan movement, inviting us to participate. But with anything else materially, there's a storehouse, you break it open, and you start enjoying it, it dwindles. But with the Sankirtan movement, especially through chanting the holy name, the more that you give to the holy name, the more that you chant the holy name, more that you give the holy name to others, then the more of this transcendental bliss and pleasure actually increases hundreds of times, as it says here. So the supply never diminishes. And I often give the example, it's like a water. If we're giving all the mercy that we receive and freely giving it out, then it's like a flow of current. So we're always receiving more, and the river that's flowing stays nice and clean. But we've all seen a pile of stagnant water. There's like mold that grows, algae, bugs grow there, bubbles and foam. So if we just try to get what we receive and hold on to it, very easily it can become stagnant. The whole point is to tap into this transcendental experience of devotional service and live it and breathe it, share it with others around us and do it together. And in this way it's always fresh, it's always increasing more and more and more. And we may hit stagnant points. You push for devotional service and you hit your limits of what you're able to actually reach. If we're acting beyond our adhikari, then naturally we'll come crashing back down to where our adhikari is. We have to act from our platform. And this humbles us because we want to be great. We want to have recognition for our greatness. We want to be free from all of our anarthas, all of our sins, all of our troubles of the mind. And we push for devotional service, and then we reach a plateau. We hit this wall, and we have to pray, and we have to take shelter of those who are beyond this wall, who actually have love of God, and who are tasting this storehouse of love of God and distributing it. Because if we think that we're the ones plundering the storehouse, we're mistaken. Whatever we have is received from the Lord, and from the Lord through the acharyas, through the parampara. So we should always be cognizant of this fact that whatever we have is just simply been received. We were just fortunate or blessed to somehow or other have our hands open to be able to receive a little tiny morsel of mercy. This shloka is so significant because it's talking about searching up for everybody should search for the absolute truth in all circumstances. There's no circumstance that people shouldn't be looking for this absolute truth in all facets of life. And Prabhupada, he made this nice point in this purport. One sentence, he said, "To engage in self-realization is the responsibility of every living entity developed in consciousness." So developed in consciousness, this is a responsibility that comes with developed consciousness, is that we have to search for the summum bonum of life. What's the point of life? How to actually operate in life that's in harmony with existence, in harmony with reality. And Krishna, he says this in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 22. Was it Yagya Tapasam Yaboktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Sadadam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. Krishna is the well-wisher of all living entities, and if we put Krishna in the center and do our tapasya, our austerities and sacrifices for him, then the whole world can know peace. So this is, like I said, the responsibility of one in developed consciousness. And if one does not come to this platform, even if they're a human, They're no better than a two-legged animal. And this is what the scriptures refer to. People who aren't in line with this Vedic scheme, they're just two-legged animals. And as Maharaj mentioned, everything we're doing is just for sense gratification. And every little thing, it's all based on sense gratification. All the struggles, all the relationships, all the everything that we go through, it's all based on some kind of sense gratification, whether it's for us or for an extension of us through our family, our country. It's all dealing with the body, the mind, senses. So one developed in consciousness will seek this. He'll rise above this and pursue that supreme good. What's that supreme good for everybody? And Krishna clearly here speaks this in 4 verses, that He's the source of everything. Everything's emanating from Him. Whatever's not directly connected to Him is Maya. So, we're very fortunate to be able to hear from the Srimad Bhagavatam, to be able to inquire every day. We have this ability, this option. And if we ever think that, okay, I've heard the Bhagavatam, I've sat in so many Bhagavatam classes, and I know about the chanting, and we're no longer inquiring, there should be a red flag that goes up. Because what is this stemming from? You could say ultimately pride. I know, but the point that I made earlier is clearly that whatever we have has been received. And this famous saying from, I believe, the Christian tradition, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. Or parallel to the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that He causes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So the Lord gives us knowledge of Him. He gives us knowledge of self-realization, of the importance of this. And He can very easily take it away. And how does He take it away? We become ignorant of this fact. We become prideful. We become egotistical and ultimately offensive. So by our offenses, I heard a lecture one time. It was very nicely described of, we often use the word offense, which is the English translation for the word aparad. So aparad, meaning aparad is the negative of radha. Radha means love and devotion. So Srimati Radharani, she's the one who has the most love and devotion for the Lord. So aparad is that which takes away love and devotion. So I like looking at it that way, because offense is kind of, at least from my perspective, it can be kind of vague. Because I'm not realized that I'm dealing with a person in all of my dealings. But aparad, we act in a certain way, and it takes us out of this loving mood, this loving consciousness, which we should be so eager to attain. This is everything we're reading, everything we're hearing and discussing is all pointing us in this direction to develop love of Krishna. But because we have so much material contaminations, we drag our feet. And we may not have so much faith in the process, actually. If somebody really has faith in the process that chanting Hare Krishna will perfect my life, it will bring me face to face with the Lord, just like Brahma is meeting the Lord here, then why wouldn't that person spend all minutes, all hours of the day chanting the holy name? And then if you genuinely ask this question to yourself, be aware of what excuses come up. Because whatever excuse is there, that highlights that you don't have faith in the process. So it's not a bad thing, but we have to be aware of that and slash these doubts with the weapon of transcendental knowledge. This is what Krishna speaks to Arjuna in the end of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asks, why do we commit sinful activities even though we know they're not good? So similarly, why do we not strive with all of our energy to develop love of God, and if we know that that's the perfection of life? You could look at this same point in, the opposite in the positive and negative. And Krishna says that it's lust, 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 the insatiable enemy of the world, born from the contact with the mode of passion. So because of our conditioned nature of associating with the lower modes of material nature, it develops these horrible qualities such as lust, which we just want. I know that this is bad. I know I shouldn't do this. I know I should strive for this, but I just got to do it. And this prolongs our suffering, prolongs our prison sentence in the material world. So let's end that sentence and strive to hear and chant and really allow the transcendental knowledge to enter into our heart, because it's very easy to hear day in, day out, and I've heard it all, I know it all, or we just roll ourselves to the temple and we're tired and we just sit there, and it's okay, we're at the temple, but how many days can we go on? Well, we're sitting there sleeping while we're hearing the Bhagavatam class, and eventually what's going to happen? This is boring. I don't want to do this. I want to go do something else. I want to go do something exciting. But Maharaj Parikshit, who's hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, what is he doing? He's sitting on the edge of his seat, inquiring, hearing, not eating, not sleeping, not drinking, totally absorbed in rapt attention of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can also get absorbed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So my whole point is that we shouldn't take it lightly. And yes, we may have bad days. We may have good days. But don't let the bad days outnumber the good days, because we really need to hear and let this enter our heart, because we're very conditioned to the modes of material nature and associating with the lower modes. And if we're not every day getting some kind of transcendental potency entering into our stream of consciousness, and I don't mean just coming and murmuring Hare Krishna or sitting in a Bhagavatam class, but actually inquiring, thinking about it, and allowing it to enter our being, enter our heart, praying to Krishna about what we heard. Krishna is saying that one should search up to this point in all facets of life. Krishna, I want to seek everything else out. Please help me seek you. Help me find you in all facets. So, we're over time. Thank you everybody for hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavane vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.